Yeah, we get the vibing, don't we? We got some topics to discuss. We get it poppin', homie. Just elected like the new mayor, putting on the classic like he Ric Flair. This is Josh Martinez and Z100, home of your favorite music where the beats are bumping. Pick your favorite company, the wait is over. It's a superstar crossover. If I can sip out.
Hey, yo, what's going on? I'm Josh Martinez from iHeartRadio's newest wrestling podcast, The Superstar Crossover, and Z100, New York's #1 hit music station, with my guest, Cody Rhodes. What's going on, man?
I'm just excited to be part of a brand new podcast. I feel like I know the wrestling and sports entertainment podcast space pretty well. So thank you for having me. This is the best stage. We're growing, we're exploding on the scene, owning some of these other podcasts. What's going to make your podcast different?
Well, it's called a Superstar Crossover because I have wrestlers from other companies asking questions to our current guest. So actually, one of my better interviews in my career was with Ricky Starks, and he and Charlotte interacted, and it made for fun times.
That's actually a bomb concept, man. Good luck on it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's just jump right into things, man. The other day in studio, I always have wrestling on because I'm kind of the wrestling guy. And WrestleMania 32 was on. You paid homage with the polka dots. You paid homage with the polka dot ladder. Do you have an idea of how you're going to pay homage to any family members at WrestleMania with your gear?
You know, with the gear, selfishly, it'll be all paid towards me. I probably be all very American Nightmare, a very what I've kind of found out as I've headed down the road to WrestleMania here in this unique experiences. You know, I don't have as much as, even on nights when I'm not going to talk about him, Roman decides he's going to talk about him. Mr. Heyman decides we're going to talk about Dusty. So these unavoidable individuals physically aren't there. And for me, it's that perfect kind of moment of, all right, it's just me. It's just me. And is just me good enough, right? Is just me. Like, I carry so much of Pop with me, and Chicken, my brother, of course, they're there. My wife they're there. But the guy standing across from Roman Reigns is the guy who's sitting here right now. And I have to make sure, I guess, honor me. Now I say that, and it's always at the last minute that there's some little thing, whether it's just socks or it's always at the last minute that somebody's like, oh, people would love this. And you always want to give the people what they want, but nothing's come to mind yet. I mean, we did do polka dot gear before. We did the ladder. I think maybe in the physical body of what I do, there might be something, but who knows? It's always in the final hours where you think you've got everything, or something appears that might be the perfect little tip of the cap.
Fair. You're back at Madison Square Garden, first time in about 7 years, I believe, this Sunday, going up against Solo Sikoa at the moment. What are your best memories of being inside Madison Square Garden, whether it's as a performer or maybe as a visitor?
I think my favorite, probably twofold, favorite MSG moments. My first Royal Rumble was in Madison Square Garden. And they still had the old entrance. Mm-hmm. People today, they're like, bring the old entrance back. Don't realize that they've welded shut that area. It's not coming back. You could maybe pretend. I always liked that because I used to watch WWE Classics on demand, mm-hmm. and they had that little curtain, and sometimes you could see Jake Roberts watching the matches. Hell, he might even be smoking a cigarette backstage, and then you'd see him like pop out of frame. So the Rumble was special. My first Rumble. John Cena returned from a pec injury. And then the other one was I had a live event match, not unlike we're going into Sunday. I had a live event match, myself, my brother versus the Real Americans in a steel cage. And I did a moonsault off of the cage onto Cesaro. And that was the first time I ever did it. And it was really unexpected in the spot we were at. We were doing great, but it was really beyond the scope of what I had done. And it was a moment to step up. As much as you like to treat every match like they're as big and as important, you want to give every match that same love. The Garden brings out a different energy. It just does. It's the Garden. It's the first place you'll see talent and take pictures by the Garden logo. You don't see that anywhere else. There's a specialness to it and the uniqueness surrounding WrestleMania. So for me, I'll be ready to go.
To kind of switch gears a little bit, this Wednesday is International Women's Day. Who are the most influential women to your life?
There's two. Well, I say two, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, there's the most important woman in my life is my wife, Brandy Rhodes. It's not a story that anyone's ever really going to know, but I wouldn't even be able to have come back had Brandy not made a very selfless decision, changed my life. Hard to even speak about her without getting emotional. Brandy deserves the WWE championship almost more than I do. And I really look forward to trying to be able to, as a husband and a father, you report back to these girls. You report back to, and then that would, lead me to the other most important woman in my life, which is my daughter, who doesn't have a clue what's going on, but I feel such a responsibility to report back, hopefully with 2 championships, or to just report back having given everything I possibly could. But, I mentioned Brandy, I mentioned Liberty. I should mention my sister Teal. I'll tell you the one though that is everything to me, and I give her a really hard time, is I'm very unlike my father. I'm unlike my brother. I'm far more like my mother, Michelle. And that's, my mom is, just the hardest woman to impress. Absolutely always working, always have a job, even when she didn't need to have jobs. Just the work ethic I got, which when you don't have the Dusty talent, if you have the Michelle work ethic, you can find it. And she's the one for me.
And is your mom Latina?
My mother is Cuban. Yes, my mother is Cuban. And I'm always a little shy to share that because I remember one time I took a picture of Cuban, like a Spanish Heritage Month. I took a picture and I was in the photo and people were so upset. And I didn't plan it. I was invited in, and I was, my mother, my Ralph Rubio, my grandfather, I literally having come over to Ybor City from Cuba. I don't know if I was Cuban enough for people. So now I just she does Noche Buena. She does like a lot of traditional Cuban things. I don't have a lot of it, but it's still in there, and then our family in Tampa and in Ybor is more very, very Cuban in a sense. But yes, Mimi, she can speak Spanish with our current nanny far better than I can. So Mimi's there for me.
You know what? As someone who's 100% Puerto Rican, we would draft you with open arms in the race draft, if you will, if this was a Chappelle Show sketch.
Dude, what a great sketch too. What a great, I'm ready to get drafted. I want to get drafted. That would be amazing. I love that Mimi has that, and it's something unique in our family makeup.
So what music did you listen to growing up? I mean, we are a music station, so.
Growing up, I feel like it's a combo because, on dad's side, it was 90s country. So you're talking a lot of Garth, a lot of George Strait, and 80s country, even Tim McGraw, Travis Tritt. But then on the flip side, I grew up in Atlanta. I grew up in Atlanta, so you're more in like the Dupree, the Outcast circles. It's a different vibe. T.I. before T.I. had blown up. It's a very different vibe that my sister, that's what she was listening to. So I was right in the middle. And I always liked that the most about growing up where we grew up in North Georgia. So we were in like the suburbs of Georgia, but then when you come down to Atlanta, it's just a very diverse and just happening and wonderful scene, especially there in Buckhead, where I lived for a short period of time. But I feel like it was very, I don't know if this is the right word, very educational for me, very just because one is this old school suburbs of the South, and then Atlanta being Atlanta. So it just always kind of helped shape me and I listened to everything. I was right in the middle.
You mentioned before Brandy essentially being a MVP of sorts for your run recently in the WWE. From an actual professional standpoint, kind of behind the scenes, day to day, building to building, who would you say has been the MVP for you?
Building to building?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a great question. You're talking someone behind the scenes who doesn't get a lot of love type?
There you go. This is your opportunity to show them some love to somebody.
2 guys who don't get enough love. Matt Rolfe, who's I don't want to say bus driver because he does everything, but he's the guy who drives the bus. We're making all these towns. I'm full-time as full-time gets, which is my home on the road, which is also set up for the family. And then John Cohn in talent relations at WWE. John Cohn, who was a referee. Now he's in talent relations. He's all grown up, but he hit me with a line when I came out of the ring at the Rumble that I'll never forget. And there was nothing poetic to what he said. It was just what I knew what it meant, because I was looking at the line of people I was about to be interviewed by. He literally just said, "Hey, are you ready for this?" And man, like even now I almost get choked up thinking about it, because I thought like, yeah, I have to be. And I've spent all this time saying I was, and now it's happening, and now it's real. So it was the best yes I could ever get back to somebody. But he's been very good about making sure I am where I need to be to give fans the best experience. If I got this meet and greet, he's going to pull me in the building. If I've got media, he's the one who comes and gets everything. He's kept me on the road to WrestleMania.
So before we wrap this up, I want you to have a question for our next performer, who will in fact be someone from AEW.
Oh, all right.
Don't know who it is yet. What question would you like to have for them, good sir?
Great question. Whew, I got to think. Do you know if it's a male or female?
It's definitely going to be a female, because we're going to profile them for International Women's Day.
So ask them who of the original EVPs was their favorite. who of the original EVPs was their favorite? And if they're unable to answer that question, ask them what their biggest goal amongst the pay-per-views are. Also ask them how much do they miss me, if they miss me. Not trying to offend anybody, but they might.
You're the first one to ask 3 consecutive questions, and damn it, I'm gonna roll it all together.
Thank you so much.
One more time, Cody Rhodes, we appreciate you. Sunday, Madison Square Garden, world's most famous arena, the home of the hottest NBA team right now. We appreciate you coming through, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's going to be a fun night.